mistakes not to make in your 20s. All right. If you've ever made a mistake and then you look back and you're like, wow, it was fun doing that, but I really wish I never made that mistake, then this video is for you. Because in your 20s, right, with money, you've got to be really, really careful. You have to be really, really careful. The things that you think are important right now, they're not, and they're not going to be. Remember, I said the things that you think are important, not the things you need. You need food, you need shelter, you need clothes, okay? Your bills gotta be paid. Those are important, right? Those are important. The things you think you need, the things you think you want, they're not important. The things you genuinely need and want are what are important. I tell you something, if they were really important, you wouldn't have to think about it. Shelter, okay, you gotta find a place to live. Food, clothes, they're important. You don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. You know why? Because they're very important. Now, even though they are important, you have to still make the right choices when it comes to shelter, food, and clothing. All right? At a certain point in your 20s, you're gonna come to a point where you're like, I don't want to live with other people so much. I don't want to be renting. You know, you want to have your own place, your own flat, your own apartment, right? Even if you want to get a house, unless you can afford it in your 20s, you probably will start with an apartment or flat after you've been renting or living in student accommodation in college or university, depending on where you are in the world, okay? So even though those three things are important, food, shelter, not water, food, shelter, and clothing, even though they are very important, you still need to make the right choices regarding those important things, okay? You don't need to buy the biggest brands. If you can afford it, go ahead. If you can afford it and still have peace of mind and eat that food, go ahead. But if you know deep down, right, that you can't do that, I'm not saying buy the cheapest on savory food that's not even tasty. No, what I'm saying is, all right, from my experience, like, listen, I can buy the cheapest food, but I can make it. All right, it's all about preparation. Prepare your food, right? Prepare your food. Research how to make a delicious meal out of these ingredients. Okay, you don't need to buy the most costly food. You don't need to. If you can afford it and you can still eat well and sleep well at night, go ahead. More power to you. I support you. All right, but if you know you can't do that, there are better alternatives. Okay, make your own food. You don't need to get takeout all the time. It's important to eat food. You gotta have it to nourish yourself and stay alive, but it doesn't mean you have to get takeout every time. Like I said earlier in the video, the things that you think are very important or that you need, like takeaway every single day, look, apart from the impact on your health, long-term wise, that's a very bad habit to develop. Because see, it's not just about the physical things now, like the physical effects, it's also about the mental effect. If you train your mind to always go for takeaway every single night, that means you're someone who prioritizes instant gratification. I'm not saying you have to cook every single day for the rest of your life, but you need to cook. You need to train yourself to be someone who can actually make things, build things, because the things you do become your habits, and your habits become your character, and they will eventually shape who you become in the future, because your character can either move you ahead in life or bring you backwards. Okay, so you need to build that skill of cooking, making things, building things, creating things. If you build your mind to be a mind that just goes for takeaway and gets food every single time, that's a bad habit to develop mentally and physically. Like, you know, you're training yourself, you know, just to be making food in the kitchen. No, you're training yourself to be just buying takeaway instead of making food in the kitchen. That's not good. All right, it's not good long-term wise. Nothing wrong with takeaway once in a while, but every time, that's a bad habit to develop. Train your mind to be building and making things and creating things. it will be more fulfilling, I promise you. When it comes to shelter, look, at some point in your 20s, you're going to be like, I've had enough of living with other people, I want to move out. Plan ahead, okay? Because you got to pay deposit, all right? A lot of the times you got to pay deposit. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Don't just move out to somewhere incredibly expensive just because you can't wait to get out and be alone with your peace of mind, you know? Because sometimes you don't want to be around people. Or sometimes you want to be around the people that don't ask you to pick up crumbs from the floor. If that's the kind of person you are, you're like, oh, it's just a crumb, I don't care. Sometimes you want to be alone. Sometimes you don't want to be around certain people. Sometimes you want to be around better people or different people or people that you think they're artists. I'm an artist. We're both creative. I want to live with those types of people. I don't want to live with people who just play sports all day when I am an artist. You understand what I'm saying? So, again, budget and plan where you want to live. Plan where you want to move into. Don't just go somewhere because you want to be with certain people or be by yourself. Plan. Make sure you can afford it. When it comes to clothing, look, nothing wrong with looking fresh, looking cool. That's great. It's because they say the clothes makes the man. All right? Or if you're a woman, what we wear sometimes, a lot of the time actually, determine how we feel. You don't need to buy the most expensive things. Not all the time. Remember, you're alive right now, right? But the future you, the future self, needs to appreciate you right now. So make your future self proud, so that when you look in your bank account,